Welcome to Money Hacks, where we offer tips for the newcomer to the financial investment scene. Hi everyone, I'm Ernest Lewis and my co-host is the Business Times digital editor Christopher Lim. For this opening episode, we are with the Straits Times business editor Lee Su Shan and correspondent Grace Leong. So, Su Shan, let's give you a scenario. Say I'm a virgin investor, a young professional in the first year of my working life, and after eating economical rice for most of the year, I actually have $1,000 to spare in savings. Now, what do you think? Should I start with the basics and sort out my CPF special account first? Or should I just hang loose and throw it all into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency?
Let's step back and let's take a more general approach and a more basic approach. I mean, $1,000, it sounds very exciting, but I'd take the approach that perhaps you need to look at maybe two things. One is your age. So I believe you're relatively young, you're just starting out on your career, and you probably have a long runway. So age is on your side in terms of you being able to earn more money, recoup any losses that you may suffer. The second point I feel is that, yes, this $1,000 isn't, relatively a lot of money. It's possibly some money that you can afford to lose. So on these two counts, I would say that $1,000, perhaps you could give cryptocurrencies or even other more risky investments a try. I always believe that when you're young, it's good to learn some of these lessons, take the risk. Once you put your money into an investment, you usually find that you will learn about it, you'll find out as much as possible about it. So this may be actually a good learning lesson.
So the trick, I guess, is to see it as part of life's journey at such a young age where I can take more risk at that age, but still apply the golden advice of dividing my savings into percentages, huh?
I believe you're starting on your investing journey. It's fine possibly to take a couple of risks. Of course, by all means, put your money into the CPF special account. I believe at the same time while you're earning, you should be putting money there. But yes, take a look and maybe evaluate some of these investments. I think no harm at your age to give things a try. Of course, I think I should caution, say for example, cryptocurrencies, for example, it's a risky investment. There's hardly any regulation out there. So perhaps whatever money you put into it really has to be a very small part of your entire, investment portfolio. So maybe out of the $1,000, perhaps not even the $1,000, perhaps 10%, 20%, you could try and put it into the risky investment. I would just say that given the price at which it is trading now, people think it's a good deal. But I would give the analogy of the Great Singapore Sale. Something is cheap, you go in and you think, hey, a good buy, it's a good bargain, I'm going to pick it up. But is it something that you need? Is it something that is good for you? Many people make the mistake of buying something on sale simply because it's cheap. So if you go and buy and invest in this Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, be aware that you should be buying it because you think it's a good time to get into it, not simply because it's cheap. So you should have done your checks and looked into it and said, okay, maybe this is something I want to get into it, and hey, now is not a bad time to do it, so I'll go ahead and do so.
Now, Su Shan, here's another scenario for you. If I'm a newcomer to the investment scene, let's say I'm a retiree, and through decades of savings, I actually have more than the other young professional in the earlier scenario. Maybe I'm a bit more cautious over cryptocurrency. Should I go into blue chip companies then?
Much as I would like to say that you are newly retired and you have all this freedom and maybe you should go for the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrencies, I'm afraid I'll have to say that I don't think that's a very good idea. If you're going to put all your money on Bitcoin or on the next big thing, I think a better idea would be to actually blow it all on a holiday. At least you'll have nice memories when you're still eating your economy rice. The sensible answer, I think, is that you need to make your money work for you now that you're retired. You can't afford to take that many risks, as you will not have a very long runway for you to earn the money back. I think that many people who have just retired do fall a bit into this problem where, for example, they do get into a bit of a panic. They realize they may not have that much money saved, and they do think that if they can only make it big on this one investment, be it cryptocurrencies or be it something else, they think that they will be able to be safe and financially sound for the rest of their lives. But more often than not, I'm afraid, there are quite a number of cases where people end up losing all their nest egg. And it is very difficult to start from scratch if you are in your 50s and 60s. So I must urge everyone that you should curb your impulse to put it into that, one big investment. Put your money on the blue chip companies. They should pay a dividend. There may be some capital gains. And the most important thing is that you'll be able to sleep soundly at night.
Thanks, Sushan. Chris and Grace will now talk about some basic fears when it comes to cryptocurrency investment.
Grace, as a virgin investor, all my friends are pulling me in different directions about what to do with my extra money or savings. And I've heard that this Bitcoin or cryptocurrency trading has been associated with money laundering, linked to hacking, fraud, and even theft. So, if I invest in Bitcoin, am I really going into ethical investing?
Well, some would say there's no such thing as an ethical investment. It really is about whether you believe in the technology behind Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And also, I think it's going to be kind of hard to launder money through Bitcoin because through the distributed ledger technology, it would kind of be easy for people to find out who you are. And Bitcoin is also very illiquid. So money launderers, I think, will have a better time laundering through the USD than Bitcoin. Like I said before, only when you understand the technology, then you should go into it. And some of the experts that I've spoken to, like Ms. Radish Singh, a partner at Deloitte, she believes that it is better to wait for more maturity in compliance and controls just for peace of mind. As you know, regulators have been cautioning about risks and vulnerabilities for fraud and manipulation. In other words, without proper checks and balances or investor protection in place and enforced disclosure requirements for such trading, investors would do well being conservative. What remains is continued surveillance and supervision for Bitcoin investments. This means having international governance and global rules set by regulatory agencies. Only then can we see momentum for virtual currencies or Bitcoin investing become mainstream.
So, for moving into cryptocurrency in 2018, it's better to adopt a wait-and-see approach?
Yes, it would seem so.
Well, thanks Sushan and Grace for answering based on our scenarios of typical newcomers to the investment scene. And now to you, our listener, we'd like to invite you to pose your own questions or scenarios to Money Hacks. Just click on the address above or below this podcast. That brings us to the end of this episode of Money Hacks, where we help you make sense of trends and your finances. Do note that any financial or investment information in this podcast is for use in Singapore only and is intended to be for your general information. Any particular investment or decision should only be made after consulting with a fully qualified financial advisor.